Booktube. This is Kelly. My channel is Books I'm Not Reading. Thank you so much for joining me for the final installment of our discussion on Women of Will, which is part of ShakeTube. Well, I just added it on to ShakeTube 2019. I didn't really have permission from like a moderator or anything like that. We just went ahead and so we've been having a read along on this channel, and then I've also been doing a buddy read with Rainy from Rainy Day Reads and the wonderful Joe Smith. So that's been a lot of fun and a lot of really interesting discussion there. So today we're talking about Acts 4 and Acts 5. And just as a refresher in case you haven't been watching, Tina Packer is the author of this. In my first video on this book, we kind of established her authority and her knowledge, although apparently sometimes she just doesn't know. So she believes something, but she doesn't actually have any kind of proof because there is so little evidence about Shakespeare's life, and particularly the chronology of the plays, because that's part of her argument, is that that you can look at the chronology of Shakespeare's plays over his career and the women change, and it's Tina Packer's idea that it's, I don't know whether she thinks like Shakespeare got in touch with his feminine side or somehow also became part woman. I'm not sure really. It's a little confusing, a little muddled. Anyway, it's a really fascinating premise. Unfortunately, again, I think we've discussed enough. Like, I'm not sure Tina Packer really delivers on that. So Act 4, which is just basically the fourth section of the book, is called Chaos Has Come Again, The Lion Eats the Wolf. So this section is talking about some of the darker plays towards the end of Shakespeare's career, allegedly. So Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, and Coriolanus. And so, unfortunately, I've only read Hamlet, and of those plays, I'm familiar with King Lear, but I'm not, haven't read those plays. And so, because of that, on the buddy read side of things, the discussion was quite active, and there were lots of really interesting thoughts and ideas suggested there. I did have a problem with one of her statements about Hamlet, which seems to go against her own thesis, or I don't know. I guess I'm just totally baffled by it. But so she says, this Hamlet doesn't seem to possess too many masculine qualities. In fact, he has an awful lot of feminine qualities. He's full of feelings and wants to talk about them. He seems unnaturally obsessed with his mother and wants to talk about her sex life. He contradicts himself all the time. He intuitively knows his uncle has killed his father, but there is absolutely no proof. So how can he be so sure? He'd better talk about it some more. And in the buddy read side of things, there was some debate about whether Tina Packer's actually saying all of those things are feminine qualities, or whether they're just Hamlet, whether it's just Hamlet's qualities. But I interpreted it as being feminine qualities, and you know, the thing about him being obsessed with her mother, with his mother, wants to talk about her sex life. You know, I don't really think those are healthy qualities for anyone, frankly. Once again, Tina Packer just baffled me. I really disagreed with that portion of her discussion on Hamlet. The final act is Act 5, and it's called The Maiden Phoenix. The daughter redeems the father. And so in this section, we talk about Cymbeline, Winter's Tale, The Tempest, and Pericles. So I've read two of those plays. And I just read The Winter's Tale last week. The whole section makes some ridiculous statements, including the fact that, let's see, which play is this in? My apologies. In Cymbeline, there's a character named Imogen, and she has a mole under her left breast. And apparently, the Dark Lady, who Tina Packer knows as Amelia Bassano, she also had such a mole. How on earth would we know where anybody's moles were from Shakespeare's time? I mean, really? Like, I just thought that was, like, so preposterous. And even if she thinks that, like, even if that's what she believes, then make a reference to, like, how you know that. Or if you don't have any evidence, if you, according to a review Jay Shea found, you just know, like, leave it out. Leave it out of the book. I thought that was just, yeah. I mean, in this section, she talks about climate change. She talks about plastic bags. I mean, and I'm not saying those aren't important things to talk about, but it's not about the female characters of Shakespeare. And it's just frustrating. She goes off on these tangents. She talks about her own life and the life of actors and theater companies and all that kind of stuff. And it's very distracting from her thesis, which was a little hard to swallow, frankly, from the very beginning, from the prologue, essentially. Winter's Tale, I really think, is maybe the play that makes the best case for what she's trying to say. I thought Paulina was such a fantastic character. I did make a video about Winter's Tale, but it was just kind of a discussion between Jason and I on his channel, Old Blues Chapter and Verse, and he's one of the moderators of ShakeTube. So I missed the ending. I screwed up the ending of Winter's Tale. In part because we deliberately did not talk about the play before we made the video, so that all of our thoughts would be coming out fresh. And yeah, like, I don't know, I must have just gotten in a rush, and that is, like, maybe the video I'm least proud of. But anyway, I will put a link to it down below, and I do want to talk a little bit more about Winter's Tale. But my feeling is, like, Winter's Tale, if that was Shakespeare's last play, that would help Tina Packer's argument so much. Because I think it's definitely the most feminist and the strongest female characters that I've experienced in Shakespeare so far. Again, I haven't read as much as I'm going to in the future. But I thought it was really amazing, and I didn't think Packer even spent enough time on Paulina. Paulina could have had her own chapter, her own act, whatever the case may be. I thought she was just phenomenal, as well as her line. Overall, I just want to say, like, I'm never going to do a read-along without having, like, at least checked out some of the reviews about it. And this book gave me a lot of headaches, and I really, really appreciate those of you who stuck with it and finished the book and hung in there. I just feel like I wish Tina Packer would have written a book that was just talking about the female characters in Shakespeare. I think that would have been excellent. I think she certainly has the capabilities to do that. But I don't think that she fulfilled a lot of promises that she made to us as readers. On the other hand, so The Winter's Tale, Jason and I watched a ballet version of Winter's Tale. And the reason why I picked this up from the library is the choreography is by Christopher Wheeldon. And I realize not everyone's very familiar with dance on BookTube, but Christopher Wheeldon is kind of in last decade or so, maybe, really come about as an amazing choreographer. He did stage version, a stage adaptation of An American in Paris. He's also done a version of Alice's Adventures, a ballet of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And he also choreographed a new Nutcracker that is based on the World's Fair that took place in Chicago. And I saw a whole documentary about it on PBS last year, but I couldn't actually get to see the Nutcracker, like his version of the Nutcracker, which was maddening. So I was really excited to find something else that was choreographed by Christopher Wheeldon. And I would really encourage you, if you can see, if your library has DVDs, if you can get this. It was performed by the Royal Ballet, and it is so beautiful. And it's, especially if the play is fresh in your mind, it's really easy to understand. Anybody who goes to a ballet gets a program, and it's got the whole synopsis, the whole story. Yeah. It was so beautiful. And Jason and I were talking about how incredibly difficult it must be to choreograph not only a play into a ballet, but also like one of the greatest plays ever. the greatest playwright ever into a ballet, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So I really recommend you hunt this down if you're at all interested. Thank you so much for those of you who joined me on this Women of Will journey, and I am very excited to hear your thoughts, and I hope that somebody else will maybe host a read-along of another Shakespeare book next year for ShakeTube. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm just not sure I should be the one to do it. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will talk to you very soon, BookTube. Thanks, bye.